What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today I have a showcase. Now, you guys are probably wondering what happened in October. I had a bunch of plans. I really did. I had a bunch of showcases planned. None of it happened, though. I think I had a bunch of other stuff planned, but my main things that I was planning on doing was going to be obviously Spooktober showcases. And I was planning on doing 3. None of them happened, and here we are right now in this video. This is, of course, going to be a kind of Spooktober video. If you guys read the title, it's Alien vs. Predator, and that was going to be one of my showcases. The other 2 are going to be The Fly and Jeepers Creepers. I'm very excited to be getting in this video. Now, the reason why this video is so delayed and everything is because, of course, of the Predator. The Predator took a really long time to do. The Xenomorph, I hinted at in the video that was going to be a showcase that I was going to do with the Xenomorph and another character. A lot of people, if you probably guessed Predator, well, you are right. And this is going to be my only Halloween showcase. I know it's really late. These guys aren't really Halloween characters, really. Like if I was doing Michael Myers in November or Freddy Krueger or any of those guys, then it would be pretty awkward. But I'm doing this video. Hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And yeah, we're going to first get started with the Xenomorph because that was probably the simplest out of all the figures. So here is the Xenomorph now. Before I start with any of this stuff, I think I said this in a previous video too when I did do the Xenomorph, but these are all based on this guy who did a bunch of a 3D printed, not a 3D printed, but a sculpted version of a Xenomorph, and then he resin casted it and basically made a bunch of figures of them and basically sold them to people. One of them was the Moose Figs, which he also did a Predator as well. And I based the Predator and the Xenomorph off of his version. So here is the figure right here. It's pretty good. It's probably better than mine, but I did take a lot of inspiration off of it because it's really good and I like it a lot. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on with the actual figure now. So this figure was pretty simple to make, all things considered. I did use pieces from the original. Of course, if you guys want to see the original real quick, actually, here it is right here. Now, I did get rid of the inner mouth, and he's much taller. Those are basically the significant things. Much taller meaning I extended his legs, and if I could actually get my sig fig up here, I actually extended his legs, so he is much taller than an ordinary minifigure, which is pretty cool. But, of course, as you guys can see here, the things that I took from the original was actually, yeah, I took the torso and the head from the original. The head is very different, obviously, because the head was just probably my least favorite part, but the torso is pretty much the same. I don't think I added really anything other than these tubes on the side, and the back is significantly different. But other than that, everything else is new. The arms are new, the legs are new. The tail, I think, is the original also, but I modified it a little bit. But before we take a look at all that, let me actually take a look at the head. So, the head is the original, okay? This is the original head. This has the cylinder right here. This probably still has the bar piece on the inside, probably because I just decided to basically bring down this whole piece to cover up the mouth, because the mouth was just too big. I didn't like it at all. It didn't work with the figure. It didn't work. So I decided to just paint the inside of the teeth silver, and I did do a lot of silver detail. The only silver detail actually is on the toes, the fingers, which I did sculpt as well, and just the fingers and toes. That's it. Everything else is just pure black, as well as the inside of the mouth, and it just looks really cool. I love how that looks. I also did do kind of the bar and kind of tubing of the kind of organic version of the Xenomorph. And the head is a bit more over here. It's kind of messed up over here, but I personally don't care. You don't really notice it at all. If I didn't point that out, you probably wouldn't have noticed it. I also did sand the bottom a lot, so you can tell because kind of the cone, you can see the shape of it. It kind of got cut right there, which is okay. Of course, you can see the bar piece right there. Just everything, man. It just looks really cool. And of course, kind of removing the head so you can get a closer look at the tubing on the back. All the tubing right there is just little pieces of sculpting that I did, as well as the tail is removable, which is really cool, and it's just a bar piece right here that basically goes in right here, which is actually the same piece I used for the inner mouth, but I don't think it's the same piece. I think it's a different piece, but it's the same piece that I used. And then of course I also did add the armor kind of bits on the side, as well as, like I mentioned, the fingers, which is just 3 fingers. I think the dude on the one that I showed you guys, he did 4 fingers on the outside, but that was just too much for me. And of course you also do have the 3 fingers. I love the silver nails. It really adds lots, as well as the toes. The feet are probably my least favorite part because they're just too bulky. There's nothing really I could have done about that. I love the curvature of the legs, how they go kind of inner like that. They're supposed to be kind of the gremlin legs as well as the demogorgon legs, but they're not the pieces I use, but it's kind of supposed to represent that, which I sanded this down a lot. I don't think I have any photos. If I do, I'll put it up over here. If I don't, then there'll just be a blank spot up there. But I did also do the tubing. This is very basically from the dude who made his. This is literally the exact same way that his was made, is based on this. And then of course, once again, the tubing up here and just a bunch of that. And once again, the front is the exact same, but I just love all the detail I was able to put on the front of it, which is still really cool. So that is really it for the Xenomorph. Once again, the tail can go in here and kind of turn, which his also did, which is really cool, as well as the head, of course, can go on here. This whole figure, the hips you can't take off, obviously, because there's just so much sculpted piece right here, but you can move the arms up and down. It is really hard. I think there is a bit of gray in there as well. Yeah, there is. So that's why I kind of just leave the arms down here at the side, really. If you kind of want to do them in a running position, you can, because you can move the legs as well. And once again, I told you the tail moves. The head really moves a little bit. Kind of don't want to mess it up, though, because the tubing on the sides. So it's mostly for display, but that's mostly a lot of figures that I make are for display. I literally have a shelf. Maybe if I do a room tour eventually, I'll show you guys that shelf. But the shelf, of course, has a bunch of the random figures that I make, which is really cool. And I love the way this figure turned out. It was much easier, obviously, because the whole thing was just a black minifigure, really nothing else. But the Predator, which we'll get into in a minute, was much more difficult than this figure. But yeah, that is really it for the Xenomorph. Now we're going to take a look at the Predator. Now, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but the Alien vs. Predator, if you could already tell, they are not based on their movie Alien vs. Predator. These are based on separate movies, but I just decided to put them all because I like these designs. This is based on the Predator from the first movie, and the Xenomorph, obviously, is based on just a Xenomorph. So I just kind of want to get that out of the way if anyone's asking questions over that. I did feel like making the Pred-Alien from Alien vs. Predator, but once again, the Predator took too long. I wasn't able to make any of the other figures, and I would have had to make a completely new figure from this, and I didn't want to do that. So yeah, anyway, of course, before we get on to all that, here is kind of the, once again, the figure that I told you guys about of the guy who did the sculpting and then resined it and sold it to people. Of course, the Moose Figs actually did a Predator video. He didn't do an Alien video, which kind of sucks, but it's okay. Anyway, this guy was a pain in the butt to make. I am telling you, this guy was hard. So we'll take a look at his head and his helmet last because that was the longest part. Everything else, though, we're going to take a look at it right now. But first off, so at the front, I used this material for the fish netting, and I actually do have a little bit of it left over. Actually, a lot. I have like a full thing of it. I'm not going to be able to fit the whole thing in frame, so I'll just fit the corner of it here it is. It's kind of this fish netting. I don't know where it came from. If you guys probably know where it came from, leave a comment down below. But I just put a minifigure torso at the front, cut it, and cut that piece out, and then kind of trimmed it a little bit so pieces weren't hanging off, which still some pieces of the fish netting do hang off. But I wanted to do kind of a 3D version of it instead of just full on doing a kind of just a really painting it on, because I know I probably wouldn't do as good. Of course, I'm going to remove the head right now so we can take a look at all of the detail on this figure, because there is just a lot of detail on this guy. So the turret on the side is okay, probably my least favorite part of this whole figure. The reason why is just because I didn't like, it's really hard to replicate a gun, and I didn't really have a gun this size at my disposal. Maybe if I looked hard enough, I might maybe redo this gun in the future, because I do have a piece that I would have used for it. I don't know if it's too big though. I think it might have been just the exact size, but who knows? I couldn't find the piece just in time for this video, so who knows? Maybe I'll do that in the future. But of course, you do have the his armor right here with the tubing and all that stuff, and the shoulder pad. This arm was a pain in the butt to get onto here, but it does still move, which is pretty cool, which does give a better look at the hands. The hands, he does have the fingernails painted, as well as the 3 fingers and the 1 finger on the inside, the same that I did on the Predator. I mean the Alien, I did on this guy, as well as this hand on this side as well has the same detail. But of course, I'm not going to show you guys that, because of course you have the sword, his kind of blades right here, which these are based off of spears, the silver spears, the OG ones, the ones that are found on Okoye and all that stuff from Black Panther. I just cut those down really small. I think I should have used Wolverine claws, but who cares? Of course, I sculpted that on the side as well as an armor shoulder pad over here. Here's what I was talking about of the fish netting kind of hanging off a little bit, but who cares? It still works. You do have the kind of shoulder pad piece right here, which it was really hard to get this whole piece on the side of the arm without making it connect to the arm. Because I needed both of them to work so the arm could move as well as this could move. I mean, this could stay up here, but that, of course, looks good. The front of it, if we go down to the legs, of course, he has all his toe stuff right there, as well as the kind of the little underwear piece, I guess you could say. But I used electrical tape for that and just cut it off a little bit, and then put a piece of Sculpey at the top that went all the way around onto this side as well. And of course I did also sculpt the back right here, and also I did add his back toe claws as well, and the back of his fish netting is pretty cool. So that's kind of it for the whole figure. It's just a bunch of painting. I know some of the paint is kind of sloppy, but that's what the Predator looks like, so I mean, it's okay. I kind of just wanted to get this guy done because it took a really long time to finish him because of, well, the head. So here is the head. So of course, if you probably couldn't tell already, this guy actually has a removable helmet. So of course, in the movie, actually, he takes off the plasma caster, I think it's called. The reason, how do I know that? Well, it's because I watched this action figure dude who literally spent 20 minutes saying plasma caster, plasma caster, plasma caster, and I watched it 100 times so I get reference for this guy. So anyway, but I can't take that off, but in the movie he takes it off and then he takes off the helmet. So we're just going to take off the helmet, but here it is. We'll take a look at the helmet in a minute, but the face, the eyes are inside there, and I don't know if you guys can see it. I think I'm going to need to get my light down here so you guys can take a look at this and adjust the brightness. But if you can take a look at it, you can actually see that if I do adjust the brightness, there you go. You actually have his eyes on the inside, and they're on both sides. There you go right there. You can see it right there, and it's really cool, man. It's really cool. Of course, he does also have this other paint at the top, which is kind of messy, but that's how the Predator looks. But of course, as you can see, his eyeballs are in there, and I did paint that as well. But you can barely see that without this going over it because they're just in there. But of course I did also paint the mandibles, and this is a minifigure head, so of course there is a stud of what the minifigure head uses, and how this connects is actually through a pole connection at the bottom, which this is actually the Infinity War holder pieces. I don't know if I have any more on my table right now. I've used them for some figures. I used 2 for this guy because, well, one of them was too short or broke off. I don't remember which one. But, oh yeah, I do actually have another one of these right here. But it was actually this piece right here. And this was probably actually would have been a cooler piece if it would connect with the light gray on the inside. But what I did, sanded down really hard. And of course, if you take a minifigure head and you place, let me get a minifigure real quick. Shout out to the classic sig fig right here, but you can tell that it doesn't go all the way down on this head, so obviously that's why it's sanded down, and that's how it happened. And this was the best piece to use in this situation because I was going to originally just take a bar piece and put a bit of sculpting on the inside, but what I needed to do is I needed to put the bar piece on the inside of this and find a way to actually put the helmet on and make it so both of the things could work well with each other. So what I did is I basically took this and I took it, I think I put it on something and just sanded it down really hard, and then just put it on the top of this dude, and then I cut the bar a little bit, and then I put a little bit of Sculpey at the top of that, and then after that I was able to do this. So now they both connect with each other. It doesn't come off, it's secured on here unless you decide to take it off. It's still a loose peg though, it's not hard, not very secure though, but it's secure enough for a shake test. That is just because the pole was cut down a little bit, and that's what happens when you cut down a pole, is it kind of loses its attachment still. But I still love how the head turned out. And now we can talk about what took this guy so long, and that is his dreads. So the top of his head, if I just bring in all of this, this is the Predator, everybody. This is the Predator's head. You want to know why? It's because I suck at making dreads. So what happened is this guy, I did a bunch of, here's a bunch of photos of just all of the madness, all of the versions of the Predator that I made. And the head stayed the same. I made the head from day one. I was like, I love this head. This head sculpt turned awesome. It's going to look great. I was a bit questionable on how the eyes would have turned out because I needed enough free room on the inside, and I still kind of, I think, sanded it down a little bit on the inside. But still, I basically made it where the head was either too big, or the hair was too thick, or too thin, or too much hair. And you could tell by just looking at this on how thick it was. Like, just look at this, man. This is from a Predator. I don't know which version. I made multiple versions. These aren't even all the photos of the Predator. There were just so many. They might look kind of the same to you, but man, I think this was probably the first one. I think this is the second one, but this is the first one I think I made, and you could just tell how much hair that I put on here. And the Predator is not a hairy guy. I know a lot of people are gonna add like a crap ton of hair if you look up a Lego Predator, but don't do that, because it doesn't work out. And make his hair long as well, because what I did for my final one was to add a little bit of hair, but not too much hair. And this is just a little bit of hair, and I love how it turned out. And I didn't really care at the long point. I was just like, this is like the last time. This is the most recent version of the hair, actually. And then there was actually 2 other versions that I did. One that is kind of similar to this. All of them are really similar to this. But the one thing that I did with the other one, it never dried though. It did, but it got crumpled into a ball. But I basically sculpted over this, and that didn't work out. So if I remove the Predator's head, there is obviously a shaved part of his head right here. And that is just because the mandibles wouldn't look as good, or the dreads wouldn't look as good on the side right here, just because the gun gets in the way. And it works good. You cannot move his head. You cannot move his head at all. It's stuck like this, but you can't even tell that there aren't any dreads there just because the gun is in the way. And that was also why I got rid of my first attempt, because I didn't make this at first. I made the dreads before that. So it wouldn't have worked out in the long run. So I'm so happy that I was able to finally finish this dude and finally take this. And of course, obviously, since there are multiple dreads and multiple sizes of the head, there is bound to be multiple versions of the helmet. So there was a bigger version, which there was, this was literally as big, you could see how big it was. It was as big as a bobblehead. It was going to be a bobblehead. And he still is a bobblehead, don't get me wrong. I know that some people, if they see this guy, they're going to be like, I like him like this because this is okay. This is fine. It's just when he gets his helmet on here, it's still a bit bulky. Okay, I'm not saying it's not. If you like it, good. I like it too. It's just, you know who it is. I mean, you know this is the Predator. You can tell by his outfit. You can tell by his mandible dreads. I don't know why I said mandibles earlier. That's his mouthpieces right here. But his dreads, you can tell by his that and everything. It's all cool and stuff. But once again, this dude just took a really long time. And as well, getting the mold to make this guy and put it on here, I had to put a plastic bag over this because I don't really have a method on putting masks on sculpted figures. So this was a lot of new stuff that I had to do. And I'm so happy that I was actually able to fit this on here and all of that stuff. And it looks really good, man. It looks really good. Maybe, I feel like maybe in the future, yeah, in the future maybe I might maybe mess with this helmet, because I wish I could have made this more smaller, because it's still pretty big. But I love how you're able to take it off and see the face underneath. With the face, with this body, just looks really good. I just wish that I kind of could have made a more of a, I don't know what you would say, but just a much more neater kind of face, much more smaller helmets. But I still love how it turned out. It still looks really good. You can tell it's the Predator. You can tell that it looks like him, and I just think he's pretty cool. He's not my favorite figure I've done. I've done so many other better figures than him. He's just kind of in the middle. And yeah, that's kind of it for the Predator. Now we're going to take now that's kind of it. So yeah, now I'm going to wrap up this showcase. Now that is it for today's showcase. Hopefully you guys like it. I had a lot of fun making these guys, and I know that I didn't do any of the Halloween showcases and everything. I wish I could have done them. It was just these figures, man, they took a really long time to do. I still love how they turned out. Once again, like I said, the Predator turned out okay. I still love his underface much more than his helmets. His helmet's just still a bit bulky in my personal opinion, but that's just my opinion. If you guys do like these figures, make sure to leave a like down below. I literally wasted a lot of sculpting making the Predator, and I am so happy now that you guys are able to see these figures. And I know it's not Halloween. I know I should be maybe making Thanksgiving figures. Don't ask me, because there really isn't any Thanksgiving movies out there that is as good. Maybe I can make one on the horror movie that came out recently, but I really kind of don't feel like it. So don't be surprised if I maybe don't make a video in a month. I'm taking a break really for a while, maybe. I don't know. I will probably 100% be back for Advent calendars in December, so stay tuned for that. I maybe might make some Christmas showcases. I was thinking about maybe remastering some figures, or maybe making some Christmas showcases, but once again, don't take my word for it anymore, because these figures took a really long time. I'm probably not going to have another scenario like this, because I don't know, there really isn't any other detailed figures out there that Christmas or anything that is really on the top of my mind right now. But who knows? I might make really awesome figures in the future that you guys really like a lot. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you guys like it. And I will see you guys when I see you guys. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Peace out and bye.